It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Living Daily, episode 360, Kindness and Reason by Colin Wright of exilelifestyle.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Welcome back if you're a regular OLD listener, also known as an OLD, or if you're new here, welcome. This is one of 3 podcasts. No, it's actually 4. As of today, I've just added a 4th podcast into the mix, and this one is called Optimal Startup Daily, which covers the best entrepreneurial blogs you can find. And whether or not you're interested in starting your own business, come check it out. This is my personal second podcast. I'm co-hosting it with my business partner, Lee. We're taking turns reading to you. And I hosted episode 0, which tells the backstory of all of the podcasts, really. So come listen to that, even if you have no interest in small business, because you get to hear from me about the journey so far. But if you are someone who is into the idea of being self-employed, this podcast is definitely for you. There are some amazing authors who have already agreed to it. You'll just have to listen to the show to find out who they are. So yeah, search for Optimal Startup Daily, which is definitely in the podcast app for iPhones and iPads, and it should be in Google Play Music now too if you're in the US. But if not, it will be very soon. And most other podcast apps pull from iTunes, so yeah, it should be available for you also. But for now, let's hear today's post and start optimizing your life. Kindness and Reason by Colin Wright of exilelifestyle.com. When we ask someone to be reasonable, what we're really asking is for them to see things our way, to put on our shoes and walk around a little. Certainly, once they've seen our point of view, they'll rethink their position on the matter in question. But reason is not the study of truth. It's the application of logic, establishment and verification of facts, and justification of our actions and beliefs based on data, experiences, science, convincing arguments we encounter, etc. Reason compels us to use the best information we can find so that we might solidify our truths, or to show that our truths are incorrect, which in turn should lead us to new sets of beliefs. This means that reason is a personal exploration, a venture out into the world to learn new things, have new experiences, meet new people, and reassess what we quote-unquote know to be true at every step of the way, evolving and upgrading our own perspective so that if a person were to take a walk in our shoes at 2 different points, they would see from different perspectives each time. Reason is intentional, fact-based growth. For many, though, reason is an excuse to pulverize opposition. It's a means of establishing how one worldview is better than another and manifests as a sort of rational shaming. I can better defend my beliefs. See how foolish yours look next to mine? This is something you see among certain wings of the intelligentsia in particular. While they speak out against walling oneself off from knowledge and speak against things like faith-based beliefs, traditionalist thinking, and the like, they'll sometimes act as if being able to explain the way they lead their lives makes their way of living more noble and pure. I would argue that this misses the point of reason and is even counter to it. While it's possible to come up with a best fit system of living, that system will not necessarily be the same best fit for everyone. To claim moral or philosophical superiority, then, is to be incredibly limited in one's scope of the world. It assumes that we all have the same goals, have had the same experiences, and hold the same data in the same regard. Similarly, rational thinking is often applied as an excuse to treat someone else as the lesser in some way. They believe silly things, and my beliefs are clearly better supported, therefore I needn't consider their humanity. Screw them and their rain gods. The value of reason is that it's an ever-shifting, fluid thing. The more you expose yourself to different ideas, the more variables you have to throw into the equation. By shutting oneself off from any possibility and any group of people and set of beliefs, we're not being rational, we're being prejudiced, and we're using the language of rationality and reason to justify that prejudice. Reason is a means of seeing the world more clearly and enriching our experience for the duration of our lives. Kindness is a means of seeing the world in a humanistic way, in which we needn't step over others to get what we want, and we needn't belittle the calculations other people have made to determine what they believe, just because those calculations are using different variables than our own, or different math completely. To me, what's most conducive to a happy, fulfilling, growth-oriented life is to apply reason wherever possible, figuring out why we do things, adjusting to taste on the fly, and always moving towards some more perfect version of ourselves, while allowing others to do the same. To be internally satisfied with your own beliefs and not feel the need to force them on anyone else shows immense confidence in how you live and how you arrived at your answers. To do otherwise implies the opposite. It says we need the rest of the world to fall into lockstep, lest we feel our fragile worldview is being challenged, which is scrutiny it can't survive. To try and force our view of the world on someone else, however we reach that view, whether through ancient writings or the application of reason, is counter to healthy relationships and a healthy society. If we were successful in converting everyone to our point of view, we'd end up with a world full of cookie-cutter people, each blip seeing the world in the same way, leaving our species with far fewer perspectives and solutions to draw upon when solving the problems that impact us all. A fragile, homogeneous blob. Far better, I think, to allow people to be at different steps of their own philosophical journey, even with the conflicts such variances can sometimes instigate. Though again, these conflicts wouldn't happen if we'd all stop trying to force our point of view on others. Kindness and reason are not mutually exclusive. I, for one, think it makes perfect, rational sense to do things that make me and other people happy, and I don't feel that diminishes the seriousness with which I approach my philosophical development. I'm not going to tell you how to think on the matter, but it's a point of data worth considering and adding to your equation. You just listened to the post titled Kindness and Reason by Colin Wright of exilelifestyle.com, and Colin is a popular minimalist blogger who lives in a new country every few months. This one wasn't directly about minimalism, but I think it still applies if you think about it. And once again, please check out and subscribe to my brand new podcast, Optimal Startup Daily, where my business partner Lee and I will be reading blogs to you that relate to entrepreneurship, which is a huge passion for me. And if you know anyone who is either looking to launch their own business, either online or off, or someone who already is self-employed, please share it with them too. And if you're not interested in this content, please still check out episode 0 just to hear the background of all 4 podcasts in this family, including this one. And thank you for that. Subscribing and listening to that podcast is a great way to show support for this one too. And that's it for today. I'm going to be really busy for the next couple of weeks as I get into the groove of having 4 podcasts. So I best be on my way. I'll see you in tomorrow's show and in Optimal Startup Daily, where your optimal life awaits.
Hey, this is Dan from the Optimal Finance Daily podcast, which is a lot like this show, except more focused on personal finance. Justin handpicks the best posts he can find from blogs and authors like Ramit Sethi, Mr. Money Mustache, and more, and I read them to you 5 days a week. So if you enjoy this podcast, come on over and subscribe to Optimal Finance Daily too. And together, we'll optimize your financial life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.